sponsorship of the Sacramento Kings. Sactown Sports. Jason, what were we saying earlier? Said, this trade yesterday, a little underwhelming as far as...
Didn't quite understand it.
Didn't get it.
Yeah.
No, it has something to do with money and stuff.
There's some future moves, though, could set up.
Mm-hmm. But math is not our strong suit.
Not at all.
So what did we say? We said, if only there was somebody who was an expert on this.
There is.
And we mentioned him. If only we could get him. And so we said, let's put the word out. And you know what? We put out the Bobby Mark signal, which I don't know what that would be. Just a spotlight with a $sign.
Yeah, absolutely. It usually works. And a basketball.
And he's nice enough to join us right now. Bobby, thanks so much. Welcome back. It's Dave. It's Jason. I know you're slammed. We just saw you on 2 different TVs at once, which is amazing. Good morning.
Funny. What's funny is I wanted just to go get a cup of coffee. Like I walked out, and then all of a sudden there's a train, right? Like it just figures, it just happened. I just wanted a cup of coffee, and happy to be on with you guys. How are you guys?
We're great. And as we tell, for example, our friend Sam Amick and anybody who is on the level you guys are, obviously we're happy to have you. And also, not that you wouldn't anyways, but if something breaks and you got to take off, we fully understand.
You know what? Who cares?
All right.
Good answer.
That's a great
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So help us out. Monty McNair went to Princeton. He's far smarter than we, and you guys can think on the same level. We've got Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vezenkov, the second round pick, the Portland second rounder for Jalen McDaniels. There's a little bit of money difference there. What's Monty thinking here?
Yeah, I think certainly when you agreed, with the Malik Monk contract for $78 million, it pressed you right against the luxury tax. You were actually over the luxury tax threshold, and certainly you had a little bit of wiggle room below the dreaded first apron that we've been talking about, as far as it really limits as far as how you can continually add to your roster here. So yeah, I think certainly when you draft Devin Carter on Wednesday night, I think that gives you I know he's coming out of Providence. I think he could play right now for you, and I think that certainly made Davion expendable here. And then certainly, there had been rumblings with Sasha as far as did he want to go back, but did he not want to be there anymore? And so so it's probably more of a I guess it is a financial move, because it gets you below the tax. It gives you some wiggle room to maybe do some other things, maybe make a trade and take back salary. McDaniels, had it's been kind of an uneven, 3 or 4 years. There were some good moments in Charlotte. He goes to Philly, goes to Toronto, doesn't work out here. So he's a big wing here, but yeah, I mean, I think, that's you're going to see these deals. I mean, we just saw the Dallas deal. I mean, they trade Hardaway Jr. so they can go get Derek Jones. So these new rules are basically forcing you to choose, right? Like you can't have all the nice toys in the toy box here. You can have 5 or 6, but you can't have 8 or 9 of them.
Bobby, just on the surface, like you've done this, you've been in the front office, now you're a front office insider. As you kind of look at the chess pieces for the Kings, the way their roster is constructed, what their future assets are, what money they have available, are they good position, great position, okay position? Just kind of what would be your assessment of where the Kings are? They're
probably in the middle. They're not where Brooklyn is, but Brooklyn's rebuilding. Sacramento's not rebuilding. They're not where OKC is, and I don't think anybody is. But you still owe that. You still owe that protected first to Atlanta. That hopefully it comes to fruition next year, I guess. You still have the ability to trade out first round picks. You can still do pick swaps. You still have Harrison and Kevin's contract if you wanted to. That's $34-35 million right there if you wanted to go out and do a deal. So yeah, you're not stuck. I don't think you're not where Phoenix is, and basically you're trying to piecemeal a bench together here. So I would say they're probably somewhere right in the middle.
You mentioned the apron and the new rules. Just an overall question with free agency coming up. Do you see, and if so, what kind? But do you see this having an effect on free agency, more or less indifferent? Are we gonna have some fun?
No, we will, but it's gonna make me think harder, and I don't want to do that. It's like I think what before the apron and everything came into play, and we're seeing the harsh restrictions start right now. It used to be like if you wanted to go into the luxury tax, you just went to your owner. Monty went to Vivek and said, "Hey, it's going to cost me $20 million. Can we go into the luxury tax?" And he would say yes or no. Now it's like, besides going into the luxury tax, okay, is my first round pick going to get frozen in 2032? Is it going to hard cap us? Can we go out and make, like, there's like a 6-step process here. So I think it's fun because it really makes front offices become creative in how they go about doing things. I think it spreads out the wealth of players here. Like, we're going to probably see Chris Paul waive this afternoon because, ownership has kind of have said that we don't want to be in a luxury tax. We don't want to be in the apron. If they want to bring back Klay Thompson or maybe make a trade, they won't be able to do that with Chris here. So I think it's more players that will be available to go out and sign or maybe to trade for here. And I think we're a little bit impacted this year is because the cap is basically staying relatively flat. Once we get to next year, when this new TV money comes and it increases 10%, then the apron increases 10%. So you will have more flexibility, but you might have to just wait another year.
Talking with Bobby Marks here. Bobby, if we go back to Malik Monk, we were thrilled. It was a week ago today, basically, that the news came out that he was going to stay in Sacramento, getting paid well, but we were all hearing reports where he could be close to $100 million guy. Besides maybe doing a solid for the Kings, why do you think from his camp he already signed? Like he could have been a big player this weekend.
I just think free agency is the land of the unknown, right? We have 5 teams that have cap space. Philadelphia, Detroit, they made a trade for Hardaway Jr. today. Orlando, Oklahoma City, and Utah. Oklahoma City doesn't go out and spend on free agents. Philly's in a holding pattern, hopefully waiting for Paul George. So you're kind of waiting. Yeah, you could have Orlando say, "Yeah, we like you, but let's see where we are first day of free agency." And then when someone puts close to $80 million guaranteed in front of you and you're coming off a contract where I think you made total of 16 total, that's hard to pass on. And he likes it there. There's the quality of life, and you can make as much money in the world, but sometimes you're not as happy as you want to be. And I think he's carved out a really good role there. And so yeah, I think it works out. Certainly works out for both sides.
And Bobby, I don't expect you to know the answer, but again, as Jason mentioned, we all know you've been in a front office before you understand how they work. One thing that as a Kings fan, I don't care how it happened. I'm just glad Monk resigned. But they knew it was going to be 478. They knew it was going to be 478 all year. And also his agent isn't allowed to talk to other teams and gauge interest by rule. So then I found myself going, well, when Monk has his press conference and we ask him, like, well, why didn't you just do this a week ago? Why didn't you do this the day after? Why did they wait a week to announce it? What was there to discuss if they ended up taking the deal without testing the market?
I think in this day and age, I think you have to be a little bit more careful as far as, they put in the rule that you can negotiate with free agents the day after the finals. I think you have to be careful. I think that date is a lot different than June 30th when the floodgates open and we see like all these signings here. I just think you have to be, you're not going to put it out at 12, it's not going to come out at 12:01 because it's going to be a red flag, right? Well, you guys talking beforehand? Well, so I do think, listen, we might hear Donovan Mitchell extend, in the near future here, and that might have been done a week ago and everything like here. So I don't know if I get caught up on the timing as far as coming right off. Yeah, they knew what the number was going to be and everything here, and I think certainly they offer. You look at what the other scenarios could be. Would it be maybe Orlando here, and then you just basically you figure out that's the best thing for you.
Bobby, as far as we talked a little bit about the Kings cap situation with yesterday's move, giving them a little more freedom. To your knowledge, did that help them get to the full mid-level exception range this summer?
Yeah, they're like 7, I think, below the tax. So I don't think you probably want to go into the tax, but they do have, you don't want to hard cap yourself because if you use more than 5.2 of the 12.9, you hard cap yourself. So I don't think you want to do that, but you could certainly make another move, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility. It's not the greatest free agent class in the world. There's a significant drop off. I call them cap space free agents. There's not that many of them. So I think if there's a guy, hey, listen, if Klay Thompson, all of a sudden decides that he wants to come play in Golden State, you'll find money to sign up to the non-tax mid-level exception. So I think I think it certainly gives them a little more flexibility if they have to use that.
Bobby Marks joining us, front office insider, and of course knows everything there is to know about the cap situation. A lot of folks here, Bobby, are. I think Monty McNair's overall approval rating is actually very high here, but there's some impatience. Missing the playoffs last year. Last big move was Sabonis. You've been there before. You know that moves like this, obviously, they're not pretty, but they're necessary. Does this strike you as was it difficult sometimes for you when you were involved to, you don't want to pay attention to what people are saying, but at the same time, you don't want to make a move to make a move? Is being patient one of the most difficult things to do in a front office?
It is, but I think this CBA makes you become patient. This is not the CBA that I worked under in Brooklyn in 2014 or 2015. One wrong move could cost you 10 wins, 15 wins. You might be back to winning 25, 26 games here. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I get it. You were a 3 seed, you lose in the first round, and you get to play in last year in the Western Conference as a Bear. You're not going out and getting a third max guy like that. You can't do that under this collective bargaining agreement. It makes it extremely, extremely difficult here. So I get it. I certainly understand where the fan perspective is here, but yeah, I think, Monty's looking out for what's the best interest of the group right now. And then certainly you have to have a kind of like a 2 to 3 year window as far as what the roster looks like.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, how far do you work ahead, and how fluid would you say the plans are? So if we take the Kings, for example, obviously there's intentions here with Sabonis, with Fox. You re-sign Monk. Now, Keegan Murray at some point will come up. It's not now, but like, how far ahead are you looking at all these pieces?
Yeah, that's the big thing. So, like, let's say if you moved, just hypothetical, like Harrison and Kevin for Zach LaVine, just throwing it out there, hypothetical. Then you got a guy that's got 3 years left, and then you got to pay Keegan. So you're looking at like 3 to 4 year window, especially when you have young players on rookie extensions that eventually you'll have to pay. Similar to what Oklahoma City's going to go through soon, and what Orlando's going to go through soon. They got 2 guys extending Salesman and Paolo next year, so you got to be careful as far as how much you're willing to kind of commit long term, and certainly to the dollar.
And then when you look at, for example, the Knicks have really made the most noise here in the offseason. And it seems like that front they really seem to be all in on this thing now, trying to keep up with Boston.
They're all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're all in. I mean, they've depleted their draft picks. They're right up against this. They're hard cap themselves. They kind of know what they want to be. I think that's the biggest thing. I think if you're in a front office, you kind of have to know what you want to be. Minnesota knows what they want to be. You don't trade a 2031 unprotected first because you want to just get into the playoffs. You want to try to get out of the Western Conference. Bobby
Marks with us finally. Here in Sacramento, you've been on in this market quite a bit for years, for good reason. Fans get very, very nervous about many, many things. It was reported last week that De'Aaron Fox is declining an extension, or will not sign an extension, I should say, right now. The thought is, Bobby, that, on the positive side is that, hey, why would he? If he hit certain goals, he could make a ton more money. Sure. Do you see it as that simple?
I do. It's a business decision. I would be nervous if De'Aaron had 1 year left. He's got 2 years left. He can extend for 3 years, $166 million, I believe. That certainly could increase, probably over 280, I think, if he hits all NBA. So I do understand it's a business decision, from him. As far as I wouldn't take much into account. Maybe if we get to next year and he's got a year left and he won't extend because he's still waiting to earn all NBA, then I think I would probably be a little bit more nervous about it.
That is super expert and extremely smart guy, Bobby Marks, who really needs a coffee, and he deserves that. Take the next hour off, Bobby, on us. Have fun. And we saw you on 2 different TVs at the same time. We know how busy you are. You obviously have clones out there. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Bobby Marks. There you go, nerds. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of detail in all this stuff. I mean, I think one of the things that fascinates me, some of the money and I don't, fully grasp all that stuff, but I get caught up in the paths and literally, we've done this example before, and I know they do have whiteboards or whatever, just different, diagrams they may have in an office, but like, I just go to the draft the other night, Dave. I'm sure there was like, okay, let's run through some mock scenarios. Did they ever in any of their mock scenarios have the exact 12 players that went before? Now, I'm sure they had a possibility. If Devin Carter is on the board, this is what we'll do. Okay. But, sometimes how you get there is different. Like, wow, we thought this player also may be there. I can't believe that team took that. Okay, now we're here. If we do that, what's next? And I just, signing Malik, not signing Malik, making this trade. What does that do? It's such a, fluid situation, but you got to be, there is some sense of patience.
Yes.
But yeah, you'll get critiqued. You have to know, and you don't always get it right. Look, we're going to go over Monty's draft history, and he's been comfortable enough drafting players. He's moved several of them already.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean you got it wrong, but it also means, well, what did that player turn into? In Halliburton's case, it turned into Sabonis. Davion's case, just the trade, it's like, but why did you do it? What else can that create?